Welcome. Today we have with us Amy Bear, and Amy Bear is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia. She's also a distance credentialed counselor. She opened her practice in 2009, and she specializes in working with clients that have experienced emotional abuse. In 2014, she came out with her book, which is titled From Charm to Harm. It's a guide to spotting, naming, and stopping emotional abuse in intimate relationships. And after she launched that book, she went on a national tour. And you can view the recordings of talk shows that she's been on, speaking about emotional abuse and healing and options for healing that are available. And Amy Bear provides online counseling, and she also provides same location counseling at her office in Georgia. You can view her website, as I will show you here. You can view her website, which is heartwisecounseling.com. And as you could see here, here's the recordings of her at talk shows. I'm sure you could learn a lot of very helpful information there, and also find out a lot more about Amy and her services at her website. So Amy, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing with us from your experience as an online therapist. So what I'd love to start with is maybe you could share how it is that you got started in providing online counseling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's great to be here, and I really appreciate you interviewing me for your program. Yes, well, what happened is when I found out about distance counseling, I thought it would be a great option for me because I do work with a lot of women. I work with women of all ages and men also. Some of the women have small children at home and they can't break away, and so offering them an online, video teletherapy session is just ideal because they can go and, they can just close their door, have the little ones there, and do a therapy session at their own convenience and in their own home, which is wonderful. Not only with people with small children who can't break away so easily, but also Atlanta, where I live, is just this great big metropolis, and you've probably heard the nightmarish stories about traffic. So I see people who live on the outskirts, and they can't always get in to Atlanta, to my office, especially in rush hour traffic and so forth. So doing a video teletherapy session is a great option for them. I've had clients, and when it was convenient for me and I had the time available, who just knew that they wouldn't be able to get into the office appointment that we made, who ask me, call me, give me notice, but have called me and said, can we do a video teletherapy session? And I'm able to, and it's just, they don't have to miss sessions. It's just such a great option for clients.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense in Atlanta because
Yeah.
I lived in Atlanta and practiced in Atlanta for quite some time. But every time I go back, it seems like the traffic's gotten worse, and it might be because I've gotten less used to it. But I can't stand it. It's so stressful sitting there in traffic. Yeah, so I've had the same experience. So like with clients, they see you in the same location, right, at your office, but things come up and they can just switch it to an online session and not miss their session.
Yeah.
And
It's great.
being married and having multiple children, I totally experienced that where moms, my wife, find it very difficult to get out, to make that choice to leave the kids and go do things that are good for them, right? To take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So how have your clients, found that beneficial, and has it been especially beneficial with working with people that have experienced emotional abuse, with that being your specialty?
Yes, I think in particular, it is a good option for people who have experienced emotional abuse because when you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, the person that you're with is very controlling, and the best way to control someone is to break down their self-esteem. And so people who are in emotionally abusive relationships or have been, they lack confidence. They've lost part of their sense of self, and they tend to be very reluctant about coming in for therapy with someone face to face. And
Mhm.
so I think giving them the option of allowing them to be in a comfortable place that they're very familiar with, their home or their office, is a great option for them. I do video teletherapy sessions also with the clients around the state of Georgia. I get
Mhm.
calls particularly for my specialty. And
Mhm.
I do have some clients whose partners don't know that they're doing the therapy, the teletherapy with me, which is really necessary in some cases. It's their private way of getting help.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times also, especially with higher status people, more prominent people, they don't have anyone to talk to. Someone who's in an emotionally abusive relationship, who's married to a very prominent, politician or attorney or something, they
Mhm.
can't, there's no one, they can't talk, especially in a small community. So they can have a video teletherapy session with me in a very, a distance away in a different city, and they can maintain their confidentiality and their privacy, which is enormous for them.
Yeah, certainly. I know in the training, the training that I provide for distance counselors,
Yeah.
talk a bit about if you do come across a situation where someone's in an abusive situation, when you
Yeah.
do the screening for fit,
Hmm.
how important it is to really consider the risks. Abusers tend to really be savvy when it comes to recording what they do on their computers and phones and tracking them and all that kind of stuff. Can you speak a little bit to that fact in terms of providing the security, especially when communicating online? Um,
Yes, I am very careful about that. That's a really good point that you brought up, because I do assess for fit. And
mhm,
if there's any physical violence,
mhm,
then we have to, safety is number one. So I do ask them questions about the security and confidentiality of their tech devices. And
mhm,
I always, ask them if they're safe. Usually the clients I work with, there's not so much physical abuse as more psychological abuse, a lot of
mhm,
blaming, a lot of criticism, not listening, humiliating their partner in public, that sort of thing. So, but of course, that can escalate into physical violence. So you have to be careful. So I'm very careful to just ask questions and see what's going on. Also, to provide some local resources for them if I'm
mhm.
in a different city, which is very, very important. Someone that they can call on right away if I'm not available.
Right, certainly. So you probably have some statewide resources where you can identify very local resources for the client according to where they are
Yeah.
during their sessions or where they live.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
certainly yeah, providing that standard of care, the same standard that you would provide to someone in the office. So when you have a client in that kind of situation, you kind of look into what resources are in their area.
Hmm. Hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very important. Um,
Hmm.
so I think it just generally gives my clients a great option. Another wonderful option for clients is when they go out of town, people
Hmm.
who travel for a living,
Yeah.
or if they have to go out of town. Of course, I'm restricted to the state of Georgia because my license is only in Georgia, but
Hmm.
I'm considering getting a license in a couple of other states as well. But
Uh-huh.
when my clients go out of town, then they don't have to miss their sessions, which is great. If they have to be away for a week and in maybe
Hmm.
Macon or Augusta or some other place doing a work seminar of some kind, a workshop or a meeting. So that's
Hmm.
another great option for
Yeah, and
clients.
that's often when things escalate too, is when you get these family get-togethers, and during the normal, week, you're both working, and there's not a whole lot of interaction. Then you're together for like a week-long vacation with each other all day. I'm sure tensions could really rise. Or you're with in-laws or family, and
Yeah,
um,
that's right. And
yeah.
what they can do is they can request a session with me, go off in a
Hmm.
room or a corner, and just have a video session with me and tell me what's going on with his family vacation,
Hmm.
and the stress and the strain and what to do, and get some advice and vent, and so it just offers so many great options.
Yeah, yeah, and just a note to any therapist watching this, and the importance of being qualified to work with the client with whatever the presenting concern is. So Amy Bear is specialized in working with clients who experience emotional abuse, and it truly is a specialty with its own unique competencies. So I would think there'd be risks to just, taking on clients that are in abusive situations when not being fully qualified to do so and having the appropriate supervision and so forth.
I agree, absolutely. I think you have to know not only what's going on with your client, but what's going on with their partner, whether they have whether they have sociopathic tendencies, whether they have narcissistic personality traits, borderline traits, and you have to be able to inform and educate your client on what may be going on with their partner, and then help them to build skills to deal with that kind of situation, and to really understand their partner. And I have this thing called compassionate detachment, where you need to have some empathy for the other person, but also know that they're dangerous.
Right.
And really
Yes.
understand from a deep level what's going on with them as well. So that's really important in this specific specific specialty that I.
Yeah, certainly. And what has helped you get into the online counseling in terms of technology or anything else that's helped you kind of open up that new avenue for clients to receive services from you?
It's I think maybe some therapists aren't doing teletherapy because they might have some concerns or fears that they don't have the technological skills to do teletherapy. Well, I'm here to reassure you, and I'm sure, Ray, that you've been talking this way also. It's really simple. It's simple. My computer is 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old. It's a dinosaur as far as technology goes. I have a good Mac system and a nice widescreen monitor, but I didn't have to get any special equipment at all to start doing video teletherapy sessions. And I did get a stronger modem. So because I was having some problems with I get the
Bandwidth.
The
Bandwidth. Yep.
Yes. And it was fading in and out some, but I got a stronger modem, which is not expensive. And I mean, it just streams in clearly. I never have any technical problems at all. And there was a built-in camera, and I have these trusty little earbuds that come with my phone. And you really don't have to put a lot of expense into it. You can do teletherapy sessions after you're certified. I do recommend getting certified, though.
Yeah, that's through the Center for Credentialing and Education. Yeah, it's a thorough training. A lot of competencies are covered. So you bring up a great point that you didn't have to get new technology. I mean, you had what you needed other than just getting a more modern modem, for better bandwidth. That's fantastic. And I'll point out that the video conferencing that you and I are doing right now, you haven't used Zoom before. You haven't had Zoom, right? And I sent you a link, and you obviously didn't have any problem downloading it and getting on. It works very easily, and it's been good quality.
Yeah, I mean, it was so easy. You sent me an email and you said, here's the link. And I thought, okay, what do I do? Do I have to download software? I always had all these questions, and all I did was click on it and bam, I mean, it just came right in. So technology is really not as difficult as people might think it is. Yeah.
And there's probably listeners that might be thinking or wondering, do you happen to provide any clinical supervision or consultation to licensed professionals on abuse, clients that are in situations of abuse?
I don't currently provide supervision and consultation for other therapists, but I've always been in a consultation group. I think that's very, very important. And I've done that since day one in my practice, where I meet with a therapist and we discuss our cases. I get a lot of, actually, emotional abuse is unfortunately fairly common in relationships, in some relationships. So I'm able to get a lot of information. So I think if anybody wants supervision or consultation, that it's important to get into a therapist, professional therapist's group. I don't lead one right now, though.
Yeah, I totally agree. My monthly peer supervision group is, I greatly rely on it, and it's fantastic. Yeah. So well, thank you very much. This has been very, very helpful, and glad to hear about your practice. And now people will know where to find you. And anyone interested in receiving counseling, especially if you're experiencing any emotional abuse or want to heal from past emotional abuse,
Yeah.
you could find Amy Bear at heartwisecounseling.com. And again, appreciate your time, Amy.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.